morning, everybody. Today we're going to be talking about picture graphs and how we can take information or data from a chart and turn it into a picture graph. Let's get started. The first question I want to ask is, what is data? It's a very fancy word, actually, for facts or information about an area of interest. So if you want to find out data or information, sometimes you ask questions and get answers on specific topics. So you could ask questions like, what is your favorite ice cream? What is your favorite sport? Or who is your favorite movie star? So let's look at some actual information from a tally chart. This is a tally chart, and a tally chart gathers information using tallies, these numbers right here, which I know we've worked with before. So this particular tally chart shows how I get to school. So the people in this particular question, we're asking students, how do you get to school? You could choose either car, a bus, or walking. And based on the tallies we see right here, we see one student took a car, 4 students took the bus, and 2 students walked. But how can we show this information so it's a little bit easier to read? Well, we can use a picture graph. So let's see an example of what a picture graph looks like based on this data in this tally chart. The picture graph you see right here is the same data, how I get to school, but you can see it in a different way. So in this particular example, we have a column for car, and we have one car in our picture graph. That means one student drove a car to school. And if we go back to our tally chart, we can see, yep, this is right, one student drove a car. We have 4 students took a bus because there are 4 pictures of buses. And then we have 2 pictures of feet, which means 2 students walked to school. So let's see if we can take this information and create our own picture graph based on a tally chart that we have gathered data on. So here's a tally chart on the favorite animals of our classmates. So as you can see, there are 4 choices. We have a dog, a cat, a fish, and a rabbit. And we have tally marks next to each one of these animals showing how many students like that particular animal. We have 4 tally marks next to the dog, 3 tally marks next to the cat, 2 tally marks next to the fish, and 1 tally mark next to the rabbit. So we're going to take these tally marks and we're going to turn them into a picture graph. Okay, so let's create our picture graph. So we don't have anything here that looks like this, do we? No, so we have to create that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create some lines for our graph. So we're going to have a line that goes down, and we're going to have a line that goes all the way across. And then over here, we're going to have to figure out what this information is. So we're going to put the number of students. That means that however high this picture graph goes, that tells us how many students like that particular pet. And then down here, we're going to put pictures of our pets so we know which pets go in which column. So we have the dog, the cat, the fish, and the bunny. So let's get started here. We always have to go back to our tally chart so we know how many of each animal. So right here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 tally marks for the dog. So when we go back to our bar graph, we have to have 1, 2, 3, 4 dogs. How many people like cats in our tally chart? If you counted 3, you're right. So let's add 3 cats to our picture graph. 1, 2, 3. And then we have to find out how many people liked fish. We have 2 students that liked fish. So we'll go back to our picture graph and add 1, 2 fish. And last but not least, we have the bunny. How many students like bunnies? If you said 1, you're right. Let's go back and put 1 bunny. So now we can look at this picture graph and be able to find some really important information. The first question I have for you is, what pet got the most votes? Well, if we go back and look at our picture graph, we can tell right away that there are more dogs than any other animal. So our answer would be dogs. What pet got the least votes? That means the lowest amount of votes. Well, if we look here, we can definitely tell that there's only one bunny, so the answer would be a rabbit. How many students like cats and dogs? We have to go back in here and count all together the amount of dogs and cats. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So how many students like cats and dogs? 7 students. Great job, everybody.